around Europe and in the former Yugoslavia where Russia might try to cause trouble. What did you hear in evidence today?
So Russia has been trying to melt in the Western Balkans for quite some time, but it has intensified its efforts since the war in Ukraine. What we have heard, there are declassified information that Russia has spent more than $300 million to different political parties in the Western Balkans to undermine the EU's effort for integration as well as NATO's. But what we sort of discussed today in the hearing is to understand Russia's purpose in the Western Balkans, and its main aim is to destabilize the region. In particular, wants to incite violence in Bosnia and Herzegovina and between Serbia and Kosovo. And its main aim is to move away the West's attention from Ukraine and to open another hotspot in the Western Balkans and in particularly in Europe.
There's been all sorts of debate on the fringes in recent weeks whether we're sort of approaching a situation where there may be another world war, and we don't need any reminder of where the First World War started. It was, of course, in that region. Do you see signs that the Serbs are looking to do something this year, that there would be concerns on that border with Kosovo, and what would NATO need to do to prevent it?
Well, it's very concerning because we had an attack last year on Kosovo, and the perpetrators are still walking free in Serbia. They have not been held accountable. We heard today, and there have been information over the weekend, that the perpetrator has actually received 8.5 million euros to their shares and companies. So that's quite a handsome pay. And there is also an Interpol warrant to bring these people into justice, and they are walking free in Serbia. So the intentions are quite open there, but what we need to do is we need to contain that, because we don't need another destabilization in the Western Balkans, because it's quite heated at the moment across the EU.
There's 5 Western Balkan countries, 3 of whom...
6.
6, sorry, and there's 3 that are in NATO, am I right?
Yes.
3 are in NATO, 3 are not. So you can see a scenario where if there was an expanded... If security was unsettled in that region, you would have a very dangerous situation with NATO troops in the very near vicinity.
Absolutely, we would, but the issue is that the European Union, and particularly a number of NATO countries, have let this situation to happen, because we have 4 NATO members that do not recognize Kosovo, that are not making any commitment whatsoever as to when they would recognize Kosovo. That will enable them to join the NATO alliance as well as the EU if those commitments can be met. It could deter Russia's influence as well as Serbia's aggression towards Kosovo. The other issue that we have is that there is no incentive whatsoever for both Serbia and Kosovo to reach an agreement, because what essentially we are offering through the EU dialogue is money.
Right.
An investment in
and that's
these,
where the leverage is.
And that is the leverage. But we have seen massive investment from Russia and China.
Yeah, equally so, yeah. Peter, just on this issue, when you look at it in the broader context, and we just looked at the map there, you can see the same playbook being used by Moscow. So breakaway regions within these countries request Russian help, Russian money flows in, and they destabilize from an internal perspective. Are you concerned about what you see in the Western Balkans at the moment?
Yes, I am, in particular, and with Serbia, they have a country with a president who's very close to Putin, and yes, they absolutely have opportunities to destabilize there. I mean, this has got very, very deep roots, of course, and hearing George Robertson speak there, I worked very closely with him in the late 1990s when he was the defense secretary, where it was the time of the Kosovo crisis, also in Montenegro as well, and he has continued to follow it very closely. So he's a very authoritative voice on this, and he's absolutely right. Russia is seeing opportunities to provoke, to subvert, to distract the West from other priorities. And these countries, Serbia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, they're stuck in a kind of no man's land. Some of their neighbors, like Croatia, Slovenia, are full members of the EU, are seeing that enormous boost of prosperity that comes from being in the EU. They aren't there, although one of the effects of Putin's invasion of Ukraine is to reopen the issue of getting these countries into the EU. And as just been said, EU accession would be an enormous help to the prosperity of these countries, the economy of these countries. It is on the table, but it feels like a long way away, while both of them are as destabilized as those 2 countries are at the moment.
Okay, we'll have to leave that there. Andi Hoxhaj, thank you very much for coming into the studio. Interesting to get your thoughts on an area we don't focus on perhaps